You know, Mark, what I find really interesting, man, is that the martial arts, you know, when people talk to me like, hey, you know, your tactics and stuff will work in a ring, a cage match. I ask you this, Mark. You take a UFC fighter and throw him on the battlefield and see how long he lasts. My mindset is about weaponry, tactics and strategy, utilizing the terrain, understanding the enemy, what motivates them, and intercepting that motivation. I employ weapons of mass destruction. I employ long-range recon. You see what I'm saying? That's not a martial art. That is a military strategy. So when people ask me, well, when you go in the ring, how would you fight? I wouldn't. That goes against all my teachings in strategy and tactics. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman of all time. You think that he was going to get in a confined ring without his swords?
Like when he came up with the two-sword style, because most samurais would carry two swords, and he wondered why didn't you use both swords?
When the samurais first started, you think about China, right? They migrated from China into Korea and then Korea into Japan. Some migrated directly from China into Japan. When they first came in, the samurais were more of a cavalry unit. So that means they were on horseback. Their swords were more of a saber type of sword. So they're used to wielding that sword with one hand. It wasn't until they became more of a secret service, a protector of the daimyo, right? Was when their swords were two-handed instead of one hand. Miyamoto Musashi was he was taught in the way of one sword. Right? His father taught him the way of dual sword. He just kind of perfected through the years into the art of Ishiru, art of dual swords. 500 BC, Sanju, Art of War. If you really read it, it's a lot of unconventional warfare. So same doctrine that the Green Berets were trained on, SEALs, all the special operations, we're trained on that. Hit and run, reconnaissance, sabotage operations, demolitions, right? All that stuff. Well, what's the modern day ninja? Special ops, right? A lot of the soldiers back then became monks. So after they served their time, they become very religious in the Buddhist beliefs, right? These monks eventually, after hundreds to 200 years, they migrated into Japan. They needed to protect their temples, so they trained the farmers. They trained the locals within the Iga province of Japan to fight for them. In time, these protectors, they became mercenaries because a lot of their tactics were unconventional. So to samurai, who believe in honor and code and the right way of doing things, the ninja goes against everything that they were taught. But what do you think was the better tactics in warfare? Unconventional warfare. That's how we as Americans found our independence and how we fought the superpower of its time through unconventional warfare. I fought in many wars and conflicts throughout my time. I'm trained in unconventional warfare, okay? And I can tell you that tactics, that mindset, that's what wins wars, not conventional wars.
Group here in collaboration with By the Edge with Doug
Military
Marcaida.
life to civilian